Hi, I'm Pastor Larry Wackemeyer, Global Pastor here at Light and Life. And today we're going to talk about love not the world. 1 John chapter 2, verses 15 through 17. Hear the word of the Lord. Do not love the world or anything in the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in them. For everything in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life comes not from the Father, but from the world. The world and its desires pass away, but whoever does the will of God lives forever. Now, I want to tell you three things from this. The first one in verse 15 is this: what you love will lead your life. What you love will lead your life. You see, the verse talks about two different kinds of love. In fact, in the world, there really are only two kinds of love. Love for the world or love for the Father. Love from God or love from the world. And we get to choose which one we're going to follow. And whichever one we follow will lead and guide our lives. You know, here at Light and Life for the last 70 years, we have been giving this opportunity to people to choose the love of the Father and let that lead their life. And I can tell you from personal testimony, I've watched literally hundreds of thousands of people actually choose the love of the Father, and their lives are different because of the love that's leading their life. That's the first thing. The second thing I want to tell you is this, is that lust is a counterfeit for the Father's love. Lust is a counterfeit for the Father's love. It says the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, which is a lust for self-dependency and self-glory. Those things are not from the Father, but from the world, and they will end up disappointing you and destroying you. But don't misunderstand. At first, they can bring you pleasure. The Bible says there's pleasure in sin for a season, but it's just a short time, and then it leaves you empty. Back in 1988, I wanted a brand new black T-Bird with a sunroof. I was in love with that car. I love that car, and I knew we couldn't quite afford it. Deb said, we can't afford that car, but I had to have that car. And so I went down to the dealer. He said, you can't afford this car, but I can lease it to you. And that day I drove off with a brand new T-Bird, parked it in my driveway, drove it all around town that day, and I had a wonderful feeling because I lusted for that T-Bird. But that night, there was no more feeling, nothing but conviction, because the Father was saying to me, this was not an action of love for me or a gift from me. This was an object of your lust, and that's why you're feeling empty right now. And so guess what I did the next morning? I drove it back, gave it back to the dealer, and said, I made a huge mistake. Whenever you substitute real love from the Father for lust for something, you're going to be disappointed in the long run. The final thing I want to say is this. The last verse says that the world and its desires pass away, but whoever does the will of God lives forever. In other words, those who let the love of the Father lead them will end up rewarded now and forever. The love of the Father will bless your life now and forever. And this is why we have to say no to that lust that we will at times have because of this fallen, broken world and because of that sin nature in us. We have to say no to that because it's going to pass away and say yes to the love of the Father. And so that's my prayer for you and for our church, is that we would continue to be a person and a people filled with the love of the Father. And God is going to bless us as we do that. Love you, church.